So I'm getting together 2 different CGC submissions to send out. One is a small Silver Age, and one is 10 modern books. If you'd like to know what they are, stick around. Well, welcome back, family. I want to thank you very much for joining me. I have 4 Silver Age books that I'm going to be sending off to CGC. They're not high-grade books. They're just ones that I would like to get slabbed. I think they're kind of cool, and I want to protect them a little better. And I have another 10 modern books. Now, I know I send off 10 here, 10 there, and you'd get your best bang for the buck if you do 25 because you save the money on shipping. I just don't want to take that big of a hit in my wallet all at one shot. So I'd rather do 10 and 10. And also that keeps a steady stream of the books coming back so I can have CGC opening videos for you guys more often. You might find it a little bit more interesting. You know, just trying to entertain you guys a little bit. So anyway, I'm going to do my first 4. This one's actually really interesting. It is Fantastic Four number 67. First appearance of him. Becomes Adam Warlock. It's actually just a cocoon. But, of course, this is not a very good copy. It's missing the whole bottom of the cover here because back in the day when they returned books or they had unsold books, they didn't return the entire book. They ripped off a section of it and returned it to show that the book was not sellable. But what's also cool about this is it does have the stamp on here from back in the 60s. A lot of comic book shops or, you know, magazine stores or whatever, they used to stamp the books identifying it that it came from their location. And this was the West Side Magazine Exchange. I can't quite make out the address right now, but I remember looking it up, and I think it was someplace in California. And it goes right through the center of the cocoon there. So, I mean, if you took that out and you took this out, it's actually not a bad copy. I mean, without those, that and that, it's probably somewhere around a 4.5. I think with this and this, I'm going to be lucky to get a 1. But I just find it cool, and I want to get this one slabbed just to have it, you know? So next one is not a major key, but it is Thor number 161 from Gods Prevail. Shall a God Prevail? But what's really cool is that you've got Ego and Galactus fighting with Thor in between them. And right now, I just want to get my hands on as many Galactus covers from the Silver Age as possible. I got a feeling that they're all going to be great at some point. We've already introduced Ego, so I think that even though Ego's gone out of the MCU, the fact that he's known to people in the that are not comic readers that watch the MCU, I think that this book might have some potential. So we'll get that one graded. I'm going to call that one somewhere around a 4.5 to 5. This one is not a high grade, but I really want to have a 10-cent Batman slabbed. Okay. I got this one at an auction. It's Batman number 142. I believe this actually still qualifies as Silver Age, even though it's 10 cent. Someday I'll get my first Golden Age book. I want it to be something special, not just a book that I pick up. But, again, this is going to be somewhere around a 2.5, maybe a 2.0, 2.5. Not expecting a high grade. Again, none of these books are high grades on the Silver Age. I just want to get them graded. And one is the one that you saw in my video that I finally received, my ASM number 37, first appearance of Norman Osborn. And after rechecking this, originally I said a 3.5. I'm going to bump that up to a 4. Okay, hey, big spender. No, I'm actually going to call this one a 4.0 and hope that I get a little lucky. And I can still hear the echo. Kidding. Hope that I get a little lucky with that, and you know the grader had a good breakfast, or as some people say, you know, he had a good night the night before. Just in case there's anybody under 18, I'm not going to elaborate, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so those are the 4 that I'm going to send off. It's when you count the per book cost on shipping, it's not going to be great, but I just wanted to do it. But so I've got 10 books that I'm going to be sending off from the more modern era, and these will be going on the value tier or whatever the one is that's like $22 a book. We got Hirogasm number 1. Now, a lot of people, some of these books I'm sure you guys are going to look at and say, why didn't I get them graded already? There's no rush on getting a new book graded. There really isn't. If you get a brand new book, I'll give you an example. Ha Ha number 1. Everybody thinks this book is going to go up. I mean, I made the mistake of getting Death Metal number 1 graded. And actually it came back at 9.6, so I can't even sell it for what the grading cost was. And how many people got Ramen King graded? And, you know, a lot of these books that we thought were going to go up, and we wanted to get them graded as soon as possible. But why? Unless I'm one of the people that's going to pay for the walkthrough and really capitalize on the hotness of the book at that moment and sell it ASAP, then there's no rush. I would rather wait and find out 6 months later, as long as, you know, that, you know what, the book is holding its value. Okay, I'll spend the money to get it graded. But if the book tanks, then there's no point in spending the money to have it graded. So I know when you guys go to the store, pick up your new books, and you look at it and say, man, I can't wait to get this graded. Wait to get it graded. Okay? Unless, like I said, you're going to pay for the fast track, walkthrough, and get it back to your hands and sell it immediately. If you're looking at holding this for any length of time, then there is no point in having a book that you have graded quickly. Okay? Just wait. If it in 3 months, if it's still holding a value, you can still have it graded. So that rule. The Boys, number 24, the Animal House variant, and they really did a great job on this cover. They really did. You compare it with the poster for the movie, it's so spot on. Batman number 638, first appearance. That's when is it Jason Todd is exposed to be the Red Hood. I think there's 2 covers of that, and I have the Batman one. Oh, I forgot to call grades out. Okay, Hirogasm number 1, 9.6. Boys number 1, 9.6. Batman, I will say a 9.2. When I say 9.6, I'm hoping, but I won't ever say it. Next 2 books are both kind of the same, but they're not. And this one is starting to take off, and I've waited, and now I'm going to spend the money to have them graded. We've got Department of Truth number 1, the JFK cover, and Department of Truth number 1, the Lee Harvey Oswald cover. I'm going to say both of them are 9.6s with a hope. Next one I picked up as a set of 4, and I was primarily interested in number 1, but I did get the other 3, and we'll see how they go. This is not going to be a super high grade, but it is Wolverine number 1, the Frank Miller series from 1982. I'm going to call that one an 8.0 to an 8.5. America number 1, second printing. Okay, you can tell the difference because the America is written in gold instead of red, white, and blue. From what I've heard and understood, that this is a much lower printing, so I want to get this one graded. This one I want to have graded so that way I am ready for when, you know, I have it in hand for when news hits. X-Men, Astonishing X-Men number 6. Oh goodness, I can't remember her name. The one that runs Sword. It's her first appearance. But this is not the normal cover. This is the reprint of number 3 as number 6. So this one is a much lower print copy, and I'm hoping that one's going to be good. This one I picked up, and I was hoping that everything would go well with the WandaVision, and I'm going to keep it spoiler free, but I saw the first 2 episodes. I've watched them 3 times each now. I like them. I like them a lot. I think that this gives me a lot of hope for that they're going outside of the box. I mean, a lot of people complain, oh, it's just smash, fight, smash, fight. Now people are like, well, where's all the smashing and fighting? But this is intelligently written, and there's so many Easter eggs. I can't even begin to count. One person had a listing of 99 Easter eggs on a video, and I know there were a bunch of them that he didn't even see. So I'm sure that this is going to be something that we're going to be constantly referring back to and watching this series 2 years from now, 3 years from now to see stuff. But it is the Vision series. I believe this was 12 issues. But anyway, this is number 1. And it's got the picture of the kids on the front. Now, the question is which kid. We know from the previews that there's going to be kids. So, from the Super Bowl preview, the pacifier spitting out. Is this going to be Wiccan and Speed? Is this going to be Vim and Vam? We don't know. So, last year and a half ago, I picked up the 12-part limited series of Vision and Scarlet Witch, and I was very happy about that. That one's going up like crazy. And the last one for my that one I'm hoping for 9.6. And this one I'm also, it's going to be a little lower, a couple spine ticks. Sensational She-Hulk, number 40. And, yeah, it's by the way, also, it is a newsstand edition. And this is in the time frame when newsstand editions actually mean something. I'm going to say that's probably going to be around a 9.0 to a 9.2. And I'm okay with that. The only thing wrong with it is 3 non-color break spine ticks, but I'm sure there'll be stuff that I didn't see. Now, when I was talking about the newsstand edition, when it mattered, if you think about comic books when they first came out, okay? When they were first, they were always in newsstands. Everything was newsstands. There were no comic book stores, okay? Comic book stores started getting a little popular in the late 70s. To the 1980, 81, 82. That's when people were actually starting to realize that comic book stores were, there was money to be made in it. And I think over 10,000 of them popped up in the United States. I think we're down to 2 now. Even here, I probably wouldn't have had to have a 2-hour round trip commute to my LCS. But the thing is, it's not like comic books went from newsstand 90% and 5% and 10% comic book store, boom, overnight. Okay, there was a transition. Okay, and the closer you get to the cutoff point where they just didn't sell the newsstands anymore, the lower the percentage of the newsstands was. Now, even though you can, let's just say you get to the point where it's 80% newsstand and 20% comic book store. There's still a philosophy that you have to take in mind, and that is that anybody who was collecting comics with the intention of keeping them, preserving them, making sure they were in good condition, they didn't go to the newsstands. They went to the comic book stores. So 95% of the books that were purchased in a comic book store were put into plastic bags. I don't know if they had backing boards back then, but they were properly stored. They put them into long boxes. People took care of the books. If they took the extra effort to go to a comic book store, they took that extra effort. On the flip side, the comic books that were sold off the rack in supermarkets, newsstands, and stuff like that were things that, I just need something to read while I'm on the bus. Oh, my kid is acting up. I'm just going to grab this and throw it, put him in the back seat with this comic book. 95% of those books did not maintain high grade. So it is not so much the point that you find an older newsstand edition. What's important is that you find an older newsstand edition in a high grade. Okay, that's where the real money is. The rarity is. You can find a 1983-84 newsstand edition in a 3.0. There's tons of them. It's the 9.4, 9.6, 9.8s that are extremely hard to find. Also, if you look at just sheer quantity of printed, a 1980, 1981, 1982 direct sale comic book store version of a comic book is much lower printed than a newsstand edition. Okay, so the closer you get to 88, 90, 92, the lower the percentage of the newsstand editions, the higher the percentage of the direct sale, and the rarer they become. And the more that philosophy of I want to take care of my books, and those are the garbage ones. So even though now it's 10% of newsstand edition in 1991, there's 1 out of 1,000 that actually maintained a high grade. So when you see, when I see a book that's, I think this is a 1991, 1992, with a newsstand edition above a 9 in a She-Hulk of number 40, which is, come on, that's an iconic cover and it's a great book. That one got me really excited when I saw it. So, I think that a lot of people right now are all hoo-ha about the newsstand editions, and over time it's going to start to break down into which newsstand editions are actually the tough ones to get, which ones are the ones that are, overpopulated. So take that into consideration when you're searching for your comic books to know which ones you're actually looking for. Another example is Canadian price variant. There are a lot of Canadian price variants out there. I think this is going to be the next wave of super rare books, just like Mark Jeweler inserts. Okay, so these are all things we're going to have to look into and keep an eye out for as we're collecting. But anyway, I want to thank you so much for joining me. And hopefully by now you've already hit that like button. Make sure you subscribed, share, click on notifications. This way you can see a new video popping up all the time. And thank you again so much for joining me. And hopefully I entertained you. And as always, I'm out.